Everybody know that I got to be the chairman.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I'd like to call a meeting to order. Do we have any public comments tonight? Nope. Okay. The agenda items, or any agenda changes, I'm sorry.
I don't have any.
None.
Okay. Discussion of the district's strategic plan. We'll open it up.
I know I sent an email today, and I know that was later than it should have been, but I was hoping that we could talk about either our meeting schedule or at the minimum our next meeting. I provided some samples of some other district plans that school districts have. Also wanted to talk with you guys about the process that we were going to use in creating the strategic plan. And anything else that we have. Are you guys able to talk about our next meeting tonight or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll look at next week or the week of the board? Week of the board meeting would be tough because I'm going to be gone the 18th, 19th, and 20th, and the board meeting's on the 21st.
Okay. You guys look at next week?
I can if I can schedule.
Wednesday's my only night that I won't be able to.
Wednesday the 13th?
The 13th.
Okay.
Says I'm hooked up to your Wi-Fi, but that is,
Ray, do you have any restrictions?
We might have a foundation quick meeting on Wednesday the 13th.
That one's out anyway.
Okay. And that would actually probably Monday and Tuesday, and I could figure out a way to be here on Thursday, I think, too.
I recall my schedule off. I'm good anytime before the 13th. This comes up, I'll give you an answer.
Monday would be better for me, but Monday and Tuesday would work either one.
Tuesday would be better for me.
Either one's okay with me.
Tuesday?
I can do
Week
Tuesday.
from tonight?
Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay, you want to go any further than that, or just set that one and then see where we're at?
I think we can work with that.
Okay. And then just to kind of get an idea where everybody's at, I knew that I looked for this thing on my computer and couldn't find it. I think this is the one from the community, right? This is the.
Yeah, I think so.
Comments?
I remember reading through that the first time you presented it, and again, I couldn't find it. But I did find the one that we came up with and looked at it. The more I looked through all these things, have you ever been a part of a process like this? Anybody? I have a couple of times at the college, and my wife was a part of one of these and just talked about another one that they had. When they built Memorial Hospital, or the new Memorial Hospital East, they wanted to have a new birthing center that basically took care of everything from start to finish and not have different parts. And so they said, we're starting to talk about that. And what somebody suggested was to look for innovative plans that were out there and go talk to those people, you know. And I think they went I'm not saying we got to do basically what is existing in Shiloh right now is the same thing that they went down and looked at in Alabama, and they were very happy with it. But they didn't invent the egg. They went out and found that kind of a perfect egg and did that. Another time when I first came to the college, we had a new dean of students, and he inherited a bunch of people that had a bunch of different jobs and admissions and financial aid and registration and counseling and placement and all these different functions. And everybody got along okay, and they did stuff, but there wasn't really a whole philosophy about that. And so he did another thing, and he brought a guy in from Texas, and we sat down and had a planning session. And somebody asked him after this guy was gone, and this guy actually was really good, and he helped facilitate the process, and we had another very good product coming out of that. But he was kind of like we didn't have any resident experts, and I wouldn't call, I'm not a resident expert. I don't think any of us are resident experts. So we leaned on some people that had knowledge of purpose and function of what it is we're wanting to do. And basically, he came in and facilitated that process. And the vice president, or the guy that hired me, he facilitated this, and he knew the guy and hired him and brought him in. And I asked him later on, why did we do that? And he said, well, it's a unique group of personalities. And he said, I wasn't sure we could get this done by ourselves, and so I wanted to bring a guy in that if anybody had to be ticked off at anybody, it could be ticked off at him, and then he would leave, and then we could get on about our business.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remembered that. That's from 35 years ago.
Right.
And I'm thinking that we all have our ideas, and we've all shared those ideas in the initial, when we set out and did our own survey, and Andy synthesized that, and then we agreed to send that stuff out, but we've got lots of ideas here. And the ideas cost money and time and energy and organization. And one of the things I jotted down here was, does the state high school board association have people that can facilitate and manage a process that could lead us through this process in kind of the form of an objective third party, that has had some success in doing that in other districts, and a track record, and somebody that's that can facilitate this process. And I think the process probably ought to include the administration and the board, and we can see who else they want to include. I mean, we've gathered information. The question is what we have sophisticated enough to walk into it, or there are ways to do things very organized and very professionally, and I'm kind of leaning toward trying to do something like that, so we have really a crafted product at the end, that we all can agree on. And those are just some of the things that I jotted down. And I've been a part of other, and probably some of you have too, in other meetings where an entire faculty got together and were led through a process, sometimes with a day, sometimes 2 days, to create some new directions and new designs out of the college. And when you've got somebody facilitating a process, because people have so many divergent different opinions and ideas, it takes a special skill to bring that together and craft something that's going to be workable into the near future, and hopefully further than that. And the other thing that I jotted down is, I think if it ain't broke, we don't need to fix it. There's some things that we're probably doing very, very well on, but to have a program, to craft something that's manageable. If there are models, if there are standards, if there are some things that that are very focused and organized, we might want to avail ourselves of some of those resources, to step into this as effectively and as efficiently as we can. And that's, just kind of some thoughts I had, and some, from past experience, and kind of seeing how things have worked pretty good when I can't think of a professional situation that I've been in where when an objective third party has come in and run a group of people through a process, that it didn't turn out pretty good. I mean, there was certainly healthy discussion all throughout the thing, but it was a peaceable process with disagreements allowed and heard, and then decisions made.
Ray, while you were talking, I opened up, these are the community parent survey results that everybody's received a copy of. These are the board member responses from, did I retype these and give them to you?
You did.
Okay.
I have a copy of that.
I think I PDF'd you the originals too, didn't
I think so.
I? Yeah, I thought I did. And then the rest of this are these, except for the agenda over here, are samples of different strategic plans. And I know that you're just seeing them for the first time when you sit down tonight, but obviously, I'm of the opinion that you would take them with you and look at them a little bit. This is not a school district. Mr. Henning provided me with the strategic plan of the village of Freeburg. Almost every strategic plan has some common contents. Stuff like belief statements are in them very frequently. I've never, not sure I've ever seen an aspiration statement. I'm not arguing against it. I just haven't seen it before. And then they have goals, and then usually under those goals are more specific kind of sub-goals, or in this case objectives within, in this case, the overarching goal of student achievement. And there's community engagement in this one, and policies and resource management. This one is, in my opinion, probably the best constructed strategic plan of the ones that I've sent you, or the ones that I've provided you, because it then goes into, within each objective, it indicates different strategies that are going to be used to try to achieve that objective. Under goal 1, it talks about how there will be reporting back to whoever the authority is, in this case the school board, just like it will be in our case here. And it does that for each of the objectives under each goal.
Is that Auburn?
Yep.
I
I'm not sure which Auburn it is, to be honest with you. You talking about Alabama?
No, I just don't have that
It's not in your packet? It's the one that has...
in my bag. I got Rich Riverview.
There it is, right there.
There it is. Never mind, disregard. But you don't know if this is Illinois?
It's Washington, state of Washington.
Oh, okay.
One of the biggest reasons I included, I think it's the Ridge Township one, which is in Illinois, is, and to me this is, I hesitate to call it a disadvantage, but it's something I've not ever seen before, and that is most of the education, or whatever you want to call it, that I've had about strategic planning is that, this is their list of areas of their operation that they want to improve. And that's a very, very long list for your average strategic plan.
Right.
The Auburn one had 3. That one has, 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 14, I think, 13 or 14. But it also, one of the reasons I included this, and for our discussion, is that it gives you good examples of areas under which objectives can be, or goals can be delineated. You know, when you go back to the Auburn one, you know, they had 3. Student achievement, community engagement, and each of those can be found on that Ridge Township policies and resource management. So those are 3 examples, in the Ridge Township one goes on further with many different other ones. So another one from the only is Pinellas County, which again, I don't know where that is. It probably says it in here somewhere. They have 5 goals, and within under each of those goals, they have a very long list of activities to try to achieve those goals. One area, student achievement, other one, safe environment, resources, and then here are the 5 goals. And then for each goal listed, they have 6, 15, 26, 32 actions is what they call them. And then for goal 2, another 25 for that one. For goal 3, 29 for goal 4.
Looks like 23.
Yeah, 23, and then for goal 5. One thing that's absent in this one is, from what I can tell, there isn't a lot of information about what the target is. Like, for example, improve the district website as a robust and communication tool. And so the question that I have when I read something like that is, you know, what is the specific, how will you know when this is done? You know, if one of your goals is to raise some kind of achievement by 5%, that's more measurable than a statement like utilize best practices. You know, how is it going to be known that this number 14 has been achieved? But the reason I included this one that I like about it is because it does provide many, probably about 100 or more than 100, because there's 5 of them and basically more than 20 for each one of them. So examples of actual ideas for specific improvement, or ideas for activities that could lead to improvement or something like that. So I put these together because, one, as I mentioned this to Doug before we got started, we've not been through this process before. I'm not surprised to hear you talk about you have, Ray, in your work, but I know that one of the things that if I were to think about this from what I think of as the perspective of a board member, one of the things that I would have as a question is, you know, what is this going to look like when we're finished? And so what I tried to do was put together some examples of possibilities. I'm not saying that I think we have to have it look exactly like what this one is. If I were going to choose one of these 4 or 5 that I've given you, it would be the first one that I gave you in terms of how it's going to look, because I think it pretty clearly states what the goals are, what the objectives are, and also what the activities are going to be, and accountability. This one for Riverview, if I remember correctly, also gets into resources and timeline, which is also a valuable thing to have as part of this planning process. There we go, here's an example. Title, identifying plan for a classroom of the future. Under objective 1U, which I know we don't know what that is. Tasks, define, and then when's it going to be defined? And it has down below here, who's responsible for doing that? And then, you know, in this case, they don't know the cost, but for some of the others, there are estimated costs identified. So,
And I guess that's what I'm, you know, there are a lot of models out there.
Yep.
And we've got to determine which one works the best for us.
right.
And that can come about as a result of some collaboration. One of the things that I, you know, jotted down when you were talking to is like stakeholders in all of this. That's a term that gets thrown around a lot. The administration, the board, faculty, students, community, and probably some other ones that potentially could be a part of the process.
Yeah, I made a note of that too. I made a note of that also while you were speaking. You know, one of the things that very frequently is part of this process is the gathering of information, which we've done some of. We have not included the students, we've not included the faculty, have not included, in my opinion, the community, because the email that I sent out with the survey was to parents through our student management system. So to me, there's a question there of whether we want to gather more information from other groups of people also.
Well, when I brought up goals way back with the cross-country state meet with you,
Yep.
you know, the strategic plan, to me, this could be a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan type of situation. But my thought process really was, how do I, as a teacher, know that I've achieved what the school wants me to achieve at the end of the year? How do I, as a school, know that we achieved what we wanted to for the students? And how do I, as a student, know that I've gotten, I mean, is it just the diploma? Is it a grade point average? Is it I need to know my ABCs and my 1, 2, 3s? Well, you know, what is it? How do we define that? And I didn't think that, you know, we needed to make, I don't know if we need a third party to come in here and to do all this. I think there's some basic things that we could come together on. Just at the end of the year, we could say, okay, the school, our first goal is to make sure that we handle any and all crises that happen at the school or whatever. So we handle the midget, we handle, you know, all these different things. Goal accomplished. You know, Andy did a good job. The school, we did a good job. We made it through that. You know, just very simple things. You know, maybe graduation rate should be something that we look at, or I don't know what. I mean, I know whenever I said something about the ACT, Andy, you'd say, oh, I don't like that, or grade points, I don't like that. But if my truck drivers don't know that I want them to cover 500 miles a day, and they cover 300 miles a day, and I don't say, no, that's, you know, you didn't have that goal, they don't know. They don't know to strive for that, they don't know to push for that. There could be lots of reasons that they can't make it. Weather, roads out, freight wasn't there. Same thing with the teachers. You know, we could say that whatever it is, we want 25 butts in the seats every single day. Well, there was a flu epidemic that month, so we couldn't do that. But at least at the end of the term, we could say, okay, we accomplished 95% of that, and here's why we didn't, here's why we did. I was more interested in the KISS technique with it. You know, let's keep it simple, but let's have something to define. So me as a teacher, I know that, okay, you know, whenever Mr. Langman comes into my room, I can say, yes, I am using the projector more, you know, like you want. I'm using the Chromebooks more as you want. I'm doing this. I'm integrating different techniques that I've learned going to more classes. That's kind of what I was looking at. You know, with this to me, this kind of looks like, okay, we need a new gym in 5 years. We need new sidewalks in 2 years. We need new transportation system. We're going to go to floating buses, you know, in 10 years. And what's this going to be? A little more grandiose than what I was thinking
Is it
about.
okay if I don't write down floating buses?
I would rather you not. But I've just got, you know, this kind of looked a little more grandiose than what I was really considering. But it's, you know, we can do whatever. I mean, we do have some information. I do agree with you. I'd like to hear from the teachers, like, just like I asked my drivers, what do you think is expected, or what do you expect out of your job? You think you'd be surprised. A lot of them, whenever I go to my drivers at a safety meeting and say, what do you think is a successful safety goal? 0 accidents. That's unrealistic. And those teachers might say, we think that every kid should get 100% on every single test. And they might not, but I think we might be surprised too, that they might have a little bit higher standards than what we might think that they have. So I do agree with you. I would like to hear from them. And then also maybe from the students too. But I don't know if I need a third party in here. I don't think we're looking at reorganizing the school and, doing things like that. I think there's some things that are in here that we need to address, but I'd like to see some simpler goals just right off the bat, some simpler things that the guy we can strive for.
I guess my response to Doug is like there's objective data and subjective data, and the objective stuff is what's precisely measurable. And I think a young person in a classroom is a whole different entity than a truck driver. Ideally, a truck driver is a mature, somewhat responsible individual who's gone through some training and who, knows how to show up, be on time, and work hard. And he's an adult, or she is an adult. A young person is not there yet, and there's going to be a lot of different challenges as they grow and develop. And they may have mentors that are educated and on top of everything. They may have mentors that don't have educations, who may be good people and have good values. But when you look at an overall cross-section of society, we're sitting kind of nice in Freeburg. Not every school district is that fortunate. But I think there's a blend of all of that, and I think we have to look at that whole big picture in terms of soliciting information from teachers and even from students, and we've already got some from families. But again, this is just parents. It's not from community members, and perhaps we need to be most concerned about parents. But we've got a lot of future parents probably coming along. Maybe we got to get the list from the grade school. And there's no way we can get people who
So
should have moved to Freeburg.
Just for the first thing, so would you rather not hear from the students?
Oh no!
When you were saying that you're really not, they
No.
change and things like that? Because then my other point would maybe be, what about the graduated students? The ones that are now their second year of college?
Be the
What did you
population.
think you should have gotten out of Freeburg High School? Or what did you miss? Whenever I was
population.
going through Freeburg, it seemed like, that was the best education in the area. Unless you went to Althoff because they had German and Latin and, that would be the thing that was always thrown up. We had 11 different math classes and some,
Yeah.
well, that's all right, but our math team killed your math team, So we always had the top education. But then maybe the kids from Chicago, whenever I was going to school, might have said, hey, we already had our computer labs and things like that maybe we didn't have at Freeburg at the time. So maybe that would be my thing was, well,
If we can be as inclusive or lack of being inclusive as we want. And the other thing that kind of ties into the stakeholder business is that one of the things that an adage that I believe for a long time is that people generally will always tend to support what they help to create. And so the more people are involved with this and that have like an investment in it or a buy-in are going to be on board, I would hope.
I would agree with that. I think if you contacted Dr. Holmes, you'd find that same answer. They just completed the process and they started it out with meetings of the community and enlisted input from the stakeholders from the very beginning. Right now, we've got a parental survey, so it's a start. And all of them that I've reviewed are similar to this in structure. I don't think there's any reason to reinvent the wheel. You can bastardize, if you will, one of these plans, or pick and choose the best points from each plan. There's some common ground on them. One, there's a fixed time frame. That's associated with most of them, and 5 years seems to be a pretty good time frame. And then the other elements that I see in there is that they're evaluated on a timely basis, either quarterly or semi-annually, on how we are doing in, are we accomplishing these tasks? Certainly annually. We've got goals. If we just keep it inside the board, I think it's a very closed product that we're going to get, and we're not enlisting the inputs, valuable inputs of other people. I like community stakeholders and going out. Certainly, we've got 3 feeder schools, so not enlisting their assistance in their expectations of what their students are going to receive once they come to here. I think we should do that also. We have doctors, we have business owners in this community, and they're all taxpayers, and they should have a say also.
Could agree with you more about being inclusive with all of our stakeholders. I think that's a real important ingredient to making this work and be a functional process.
They all seem to start off with a goal and mission statement too. I think that might be something that we look at to review our goal. Those change with time and technology.
Can I back you up a minute though?
Certainly.
You're talking about accessing other entities. Are you talking about for information similar to the parental survey, or for asking them to have representation as part of this process?
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. The difficult thing is...
I'm just asking for clarification.
I do think that,
second?
having representation of community leaders in this process would be a valuable thing. The difficult thing, say you went out to Todd Vonderheit, for instance, and is getting one of these community members to participate on a rather lengthy and time-consuming project is a difficult thing. A survey on what they think is important, targeted to a time frame of 5 years, might be an easier task. But if we could get some community leaders involved in the process, it goes a long way with them having ownership, as you mentioned. And then with that comes an understanding when you don't have funds, when you don't have the resources that you need, and you have to go out and say, hey, we need more funds, or here's the situation, we've got to make these cuts. And instead of getting bad press or negative reaction from a community, we've got people involved in every little group out there that can offer some explanation, or they saw it coming ahead of time. There's nothing that the school can do because the state did this, or whatever the reaction is. That's my thought on that. But certainly looking at we did our goals, what the school board thought was important. We did that. We didn't take a look at the mission statement of the school itself, and is it still applicable? Does it need to be maybe brought up to 2016 or changed, tweaked, whatever. But I reached out to Larry Dirks today, looking for some information from the IASB, and they have it. They've participated as that third party. They certainly don't want to, and I don't know when you go to them, Mr. Lehman, are they a paid consultant usually?
Depends. If somebody's gonna be here from there, in a meeting like this, yeah, there'll be a fee. I mean, It's a nonprofit organization, so it isn't going to be the same as somebody who's making their living that way. I mean, all member districts pay, dues to be part of, so, some of their costs are shared by everybody, but yeah, there'll be extra.
My reasoning was to find the template. Hey, what resources do you have for a template for this and guidance to lead us through this process? And certainly these are the same thing, but I didn't know what they had. He didn't call me back until late this afternoon, so I did not receive a whole lot of information from him. But all the points that you brought up were right in line with his experiences from other districts. They all tackle it. They all getting started is the hardest part of the process, and visualizing what you want to accomplish in limiting it, targeting it, and putting a time frame to it, and an accurate way to see if you're accomplishing your goals.
Have you spoke to Susan Holmes on their process on
Yeah.
what they?
Not specifically to learn everything about it, but yeah, I've have spoken with her about it. Not since, not since, well, I'm not sure exactly when. Not since we knew when this meeting was gonna happen, I don't think, but.
Like I say, I think we can get information from her on probably what they did to go through their process.
I don't think that'd be a problem at all.
Or maybe if she wanted to, she can even come present it to us even if she's got time. But, just get hard copy of what she.
I'd kind of like to go back, Doug, to one of the things you mentioned about having been a part of a lot of these processes. And with having lots of different factions involved, there are going to be some creative personalities, there are going to be some old-time kind of, this is the way we've always done it personalities. There's going to be all kinds of differing opinions. And depending on the strength of those personalities, there can be some long debates. And when you've got a cluster of people that kind of like know one another, who's gonna keep the focus? Who's going to?
Me, Chair. There. It's plain and simple.
Keep listening. Who's going to be the bad guy? In some instances, and simmer down now, or da 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 da. And what you want to be very careful of is to still make everybody feel like they're a contributor. You don't want to piss anybody off. But if somebody's over the top on something, and you're looking at all the nonverbals around the room, it's time to move on. Somebody's got to put the hammer down, and somebody who knows the language, of education, somebody who is an expert on analysis and compromise and to keep the group on task is an important facilitator. And if we're all going to be participants, then we need an objective third party, to do that so that I can participate in a creative manner, or Dean can participate, or you guys can participate. I'd be the first one to tell you, I've never facilitated anything like this, and I don't want to learn at the end of my career. Okay.
I just disagree.
Pardon?
I think it could be done without, I just disagree. And with any compromise, what I always understood is that both parties are upset. And if we do, there's so many people in the community, there's so many people, how many students, how many teachers, you're not gonna have everybody happy with what your plan is or what your goal is, no matter what. I mean, we have to do what's best for the school.
But here's
the bottom line, at the end.
All these people around us in this process are going to still have to live together in this community. An outside guy can ride in on his horse, or
I don't see it to be this earth shattering. I guess I wonder, how grandiose this is going to end up being when I don't think it needs to be. You know, right now, when we went through the year, there was no, what goals did we have last year, guys, and what did we accomplish? Well, we didn't have any. Okay. If it just would have been, hey, we kept the doors open, lights are on, we accomplished it, great, we made it. You know, then I can look at that and go, that was a victory, that was good. I didn't need any more than that, but there's a lot more that we could do. I guess it depends on how much everybody wants to do here.
Yeah. And this can be as complex or as simplistic as we
Right.
choose to make it.
But I still don't think we need, I mean, I'm not a big committee, I'm a doer, you know, let's get it done. You know, if the school needs to be painted, let's get 28 volunteers and let's start painting from this side and go to that side. And that was our goal, to get the school painted, we did it. I don't need somebody to come in and analyze it and tell me, well, Sherwin-Williams paint or, you know, whatever paint and everything else and take even longer than what the process could take. But if that's what everybody wants to do, I'm gonna be fine with it. I'm not gonna have my feelings hurt and upset and be upset at you or anything like that.
See, when we talk about board members, we talk about community members, we talk about, all these possible stakeholders, that's gonna add up to quite a few people. And again, I don't know, how we wanna structure that. Whether we want to, do we want to be inclusive or do we want to be exclusive? And just have, maybe, representatives from each of these different groups and have it be small. Then do we have, an appropriate spread of opinion and information for people to come in and contribute with? Or do we need to have it be a little more broad than that?
Well, and I don't know,
We
we
don't
need
know
to
a lot.
have them in here at the meetings. I think Smith and they did their community outreach type things. I mean, there's different things that we could do. But also, we are representatives of our community. I mean, we were voted in by however many people voted for you, however many people voted for me. And so we've got their best interest. And, that is what
That's
we're
the
here
one
for.
thing I would agree with, that if you want to go with, we're elected, we can talk to our constituents, we can come and represent them, and we can do this within this room with a board and invite people in as we need them, then that's one alternative.
Right.
That's one alternative.
So,
No problem with that. I've just been there and done that before. And it's not as simple as we're making it out to be. I've been in rooms where there's been, up at U of I, where there's been a whole I don't know what building, it's a new building, with a hotel attached to it, with 36 community colleges represented. There's tables of people. And I've been in the gym out at SWIC, where all the faculty and all the administrators and all the sports staff have been in there. And you gotta have somebody cracking the whip like a ringmaster to make that work. And if ours aren't gonna be that big, we could save some money.
right.
But we need to frame it, figure out who we want our stakeholders to be. And if we're it, then
Well,
we're it.
who we want to include. Stakeholders are the stakeholders. We can't tell anybody they're not a stakeholder. They are already, or they're not.
Everybody in communities.
Right. The question is how.
Participate in the decision-making process.
Right.
And maybe the people who were elected to do that, and the people that are hired to administer.
Certainly, representation of that group is important, but I would submit that I like the idea to have a faculty representative, at least one, on the committee, reaching out to the community. If you could find parents that want to participate. We could find business associates that want to participate. We have some, both parents, and so we have that. But I fear that if you keep it just within us, that you miss out on that opportunity that you mentioned, where they're part of it. And as being part of the planning process, they take ownership of the final product also, and being part of the school and I think that's important. So I'm fully in favor of getting some members of the community involved on the process.
And that is one reason, Doug, why the more you have, back to the people will tend to support what they help to create. When they're alive and vibrant in that process, they're going to be your allies for a long time.
I'm not questioning it. I'm not questioning it, but just also the more cooks you have in the kitchen, the longer this process is going to take. And 2 years from now, we're still talking about the strategic plan that we started in 2016.
Ergo the need for the facilitator to keep it on.
Well, certainly
Well,
limited
Or
in
you
that.
be a bad guy if they have to be.
Control that, though.
I'm not looking for 10 or 15, but you know, I would think 2 or 3 certainly would be feasible to have.
Playing devil's advocate though, Dennis, I mean, you've got 3, 4 just communities, 5, depending on how you define a community. I mean, as you were talking about members of as you were naming groups, I'm thinking, okay, maybe somebody from the Freeburg and Smithton Village Board, that's 2 people right there. A business person from Freeburg and Smithton and St. Labori. And I don't know if St.
You could
Labori.
get up to 15 just quite
Oh
easily.
yeah, it's not gonna take long at all. And if you don't treat each of those communities the same, you know what you're opening yourself up to. Everything all right?
Yeah.
What's your thought
That's
on?
probably the most words I've said at once, and then now your phone fell off. I'm sorry about that. I'll try to just stop talking.
What's your thoughts on input from the feeder schools?
Well, I think you either, I see two paths. One being advocated, I'm not gonna try to pit anybody against each other, but, Mr. Parrish is talking about something that could probably be done in one more meeting, very simply. My guess is that when you guys, however you look through what I've given you, whenever you do that, things are gonna pop in your mind about,
Yeah, definitely.
that reminds me of something I thought about before. Let's try to improve that. And we could start with 5 from each of you, take that list of 15, get it down to 8 or 10 or whatever, and, establish what it means to have accomplished whatever it is. And that answers the question of the way he's asked it, did we get something done, or did we get enough done, or what did we get done in a given time frame? The other side of it is gonna, there's 10,000 people that live in this school district, and they're divided into however many communities there are. You're either gonna include all of them or none of them, the way I see it.
Well, how about this? You've given us some things here, and I look at that, and if you can come out with a goal for the district and a mission for the district, and 5 or 6 subgroupings of areas, buildings and ground. We did that on our first meeting. We've got our goals. We've got parental input already of our students, the ones that wanted to participate, and it was a decent percentage of the parents that participated. Why not a targeted survey similar to the mayor, to your picking, specific, pick 20 individuals, business owners, and
When I go to the chamber.
and you could do that, whatever you would decide, but ask them to provide their input in the form of a survey. It certainly wouldn't be as time consuming as being on a board member. Keep coming, and then we can have their input and start filling in these 5 subgroupings, or see the similarities between what the parents put in, what we put in, what you ask your faculty, and where they've been. And in the end, we come up with a document that's got input in from all those various subgroupings, and we can put some type of time schedule on it, on what we'd like to see improvement, in some way to measure that improvement.
So I'm thinking any person in our district that's a homeowner or a parent would be a potential.
I think that'd be too large.
Oh, I know it would. And how would we glean, input from a group that large? I mean, they're all stakeholders. Any homeowner's got to care about the school district being good because that helps the value of their home.
Here's what I've written.
Okay.
To survey these people, the boards of education of the feeder schools,
I like that.
the chamber members of, Freeburg, Smithton has a chamber, don't they? Chamber of Commerce?
I believe they do have some type of,
There's a commercial, is it the Smithton Commercial Club maybe? Okay,
I think St. Laborious.
Okay, that would cover all the businesses.
right. I don't know about St. Labori. I don't even know if they have a village government.
Yeah, they do.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
But I think, I'd have to ask her, but I thought they did have some type of a chamber.
Okay. So you're looking at 7 board members times 3, that's 21. Chamber members, obviously, we're not gonna have 100% participation, but, I mean, that could easily be 20 or 30 responses. The village governments could be another 20 responses. We could, I mean, that's a start. Our teachers, we're not gonna be able to access our teachers with a very high success rate until August when they're back here.
Well, and everybody's not going to respond to also.
Right. And it's gonna take some time for me to reach out to these different groups of people.
And then the only other group that I can see is that the non-parent
I listed residents.
homeowner
I
residents.
listed
Yeah, I don't know
residents.
how you get a random sampling of the residents.
It's been a challenge. I mean, the foundation several years ago wrestled with that issue, even spent a few $1,000s on it, on how to generate that information, and didn't solve it. I don't have an answer to the question. And how do you, I doubted that it would be a big problem, but when you talk residents, the group you're after are the non-parents. But there's really almost no way to keep people from doubling up.
Sure, if you put a link on the website, then anybody can, even from out of town, can.
That's correct.
It almost has to be a mailed product to a house, and then finding that random sampling is the hard part of that.
I mean, the other part that we're talking about, right, that's correct.
Well, what's everybody's thoughts on taking these, you review on your own, the other ones too, and in preparation for next week's meeting, come prepared with what subtitles that we think would be important to include. We can look at what you, or what Andy had provided for our goals. He did a nice job of organizing the inputs in here in different subgroupings. So I think there's a lot of good information. There's some wasted information in there too. You're bound to get that. Cut that off the snake group. But it's
In this with some of these other things, what I'd like to ask people to do is to look through all this stuff, and pull out some things that pop to you, and bring that to the next meeting. I mean, not only kind of glean what you consider to be some of the most important items here, but to look at some of these other things that were done and some things that were done well or that you're interested in, like bring those up, and we can maybe craft our own things out of what we've already talked about, and maybe some of these ideas that sound pretty good, and maybe create our own product. Does that make sense?
Does? Yes.
Do you think it should be a 5-year plan? Is that a workable time frame?
Let's just go with 6 months. We'll copy what the state does. Yeah, 5 years is fine. I mean, you know, further out you shoot, the less accurate you're gonna be able to try to be, because, I mean, that's just the nature of that,
Yeah,
of
you're
that
just
business.
looking to the future.
Because some of what we come up with, you know, we might be able to put into effect right away. I mean, there's a cost of some of these things that might pop up, and we might be able to afford some stuff, we might not be able to afford some stuff. So we're gonna have to look at everything with a fine-tooth comb to see what's doable and what's not doable. You know, with some of these ideas. Some of these ideas may be some, you know, some pretty fancy schmancy things or not, and we're gonna have to do what we can do with our budget, you know, with our resources, you know, with what we have in our own backyard. We just have to dig through it all.
Does the committee want me to reach out to those groups that represent those other entities between now and our next meeting?
Meaning the schools?
Yep.
Or
The schools, the village governments, the business associations?
I'd have to get any input back from them in time.
Shouldn't we
Oh,
wait,
no,
shouldn't
no
we
way.
wait until we get?
There's no way you'll get input back from them.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know if you guys want that, I mean, have you expressed a decision that you want those people to be asked to complete those surveys? Or do you still want to think about it?
You're going to take a look at the survey questions that you ask the parents and tailor them towards if it's applicable for the community, or is it going to be the same?
If I had to choose right now, I would have it be the same.
Yeah.
But
And see, I think it would be better to wait come back next meeting with the 5 or 10 or whatever that we were talking about. Craft that into what, you know, what is the topic that we're really looking at?
and see where we stand after that discussion.
And then go to those different groups and go, here are the 5 different agendas that we're really considering, and then get opinions on that rather than open it up to, you know.
Because you're gonna get God knows what all.
And you can target their responses towards the areas that you.
Right. That's right. I think we
You know, we
should.
don't do that, it'll be the pie in the sky thing, you know, and.
I love that brand new school.
We'll get overwhelmed,
Yeah.
that could be, no, that could, will, you know, because we probably won't be able to do all those things, we'll have to say no, and that creates an ill will.
Right.
But yeah, I like the focused approach a little bit better.
I like what Doug mentioned there, but, you know, I think we also, maybe in the meantime, reach out to these other organizations and maybe let them know what's going on, and that we may be asking them to participate with us, at least give them some time to, I guess, think about, you know, whoever member of that organization would wanna come to it. I'd say put in there, so we're saying, you know, think about who you would want to represent your organization come in, you know, just have one person. And preferably, especially when it comes to the chamber, there are a lot of chamber members that do not live in the grade school district, so they're not taxpayers here, but I think you want to make sure that, especially like those chamber groups, that they are also a taxpayer in the district.
Do you think it would be better to start that process early, or again, wait until we had something that we could kind of like send them, like here's kind of what we're thinking about? Give them something kind of distinct to respond to rather than.
You know, my thought would be
Fewer
get
phone
it
calls
early
that
so they can, you know, talk to their membership in the meantime while we're still getting things together.
I guess my polite point would be, what are they going to talk to the membership about? You know, if we boil this down.
I
to
guess
some
just basically tell them
detail.
that we're doing that strategic planning And we're just basically reaching out to these organizations to possibly send a member to participate in the procedure.
Okay. And the only thing that makes me a little nervous about that, Dean, is that with too much outreach, when we have a workable size group, or what expectations we might create with that, that kind inquiry. What they may be thinking and what we're thinking could be two different things. Whereas if we frame this a little bit more, we can be more precise and, and kind of having a control group that it's not going to be too cumbersome.
So if that's what you're comfortable with, go with it. But that's just what I'm.
Certainly,
what I was
one week
thinking.
won't make any difference.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
And also, I think what you might at least see is what the school board association, what kind of fees would be involved if we would decide to use them.
I'd be curious too.
Do you want me to learn more than I already know about the Smithton process for dissemination next week?
I bet there was a lot of learning points along that way that might be helpful in our process also.
And there's a way that we can get a copy of their.
Did Dr. Holmes facilitate that thing herself, or did she bring in a
I
consultant?
don't think they had an outside person, but I'm not sure. I do know that she's not in this week, so my first chance to reach her is going to be Monday, but I still think I'll be able to do that Monday or Tuesday of next week.
And the office was closed today.
I will email all of these to you, and you're obviously, I know some of you like them on paper, and you have them that way already. So,
Okay. So for July 12th, 7 o'clock, we're going to individually kind of synthesize the information we got today, come back with, and we've already, kind of done that with our own survey, but we're going to kind of add this new information to that. Come back and trying to think of a way to make that meeting more productive. Would it be possible, everybody have some time between now and then to sit down and put something together and maybe get it to Mr. Lehman or Jane and have her compile that so it's sort of ready, it can become kind of a working paper, at the meeting.
Rather than that be the first time that we see it?
Yeah, because we'll all, we all just bring our stuff, then we could certainly talk about it, but it might be nice to have that compiled.
Sure.
And we can begin to look at it. And then I'm thinking maybe we can process, it might be a longer meeting, maybe we can process some of it that evening, or if we need more time to kind of digest it a little bit, just kind of keep rescheduling and get a few of these things going so we can get it under our belt.
think you can have it to me by the end of the day around here, which is 3:30 on Monday next week.
Yeah. Try to get it to you this week. I've
That's
got a
fine.
3-day trip, I can do it.
Now, you don't read while you're flying, do you?
Never.
Good. I wasn't gonna fly Delta until you answered that question.
Absolutely never. From New York to San Francisco, that 5.5-hour flight.
Edge of your seat the whole time, huh?
Right. It's good on task.
I will contact the ISB about fees and also reach out to Dr. Holmes about the process that they used.
Okay. By Monday at 4,
3:30.
3:30.
If you're gonna hand deliver it, you're just gonna email it, just sometime in the middle. But 3:30 the office closes.
Okay. Does that sound like a plan to everybody?
Yep.
Okay, anybody have anything else for the good of the cause?